Hi, I'm Mayor Pro Tem Todd Gottel, and welcome to Rowlett on the Water on the Move.
Hi, I'm Lynda. I'm the city manager.
We've got a break program today. You know, this show is produced entirely by city staff and can be seen on Rowlett's own television network, RTN 16. You can also find us on the web by going to rowlett.com. We have got a terrific program today.
Yeah, we do, Todd. How come you're dressed a little casual today, less the tie?
Well, I thought we'd mix things up a little bit. And what I thought would be really appropriate, since the weather's finally cooling off and we talk about a lot of these things going on in our city, let's take the show on the road and let's check out some of those spots.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. Where are we going?
We're going to go to the lake. We're going to talk a little about the drought issues that we're having today.
Awesome.
And I thought it was very appropriate, especially considering the 17 years I've been here, the lake is extremely low. So we're going to go check that out.
It really is. And we've got quite a story to talk about relative to the drought and the impact that it's going to have on us in the months to come. And really is going to be an important story. And we'll talk about that this month in October. And then we'll talk about it again in November because it doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon.
You are absolutely right. And then after that, we're going to go visit the DART station. You know, I understand they've got some of the construction up on the platform, and we're going to go check that out too.
It's moving along. It's pretty exciting when you think about the turnpike being complete in December of this year and DART light rail being completed next year. Pretty exciting. It'll be nice to be able to finally see some things that are going vertical. You know, when you look at the DART rail project, it's kind of hard to get a perspective when all they're doing is laying tracks. So it'll be cool to see something actually being built.
It absolutely is. You know, it's interesting as we talk about a lot of these projects, we seem to talk about them again and again, and people are looking for, well, when's the project going to start? Well, the project started. It's been started a long time ago, but a lot of stuff is behind the scenes, drainage work, you know, just laying, in this case, the rail that you're talking about. It could be just all the stages of planning that things go through. So finally to get to the construction phase, when you can actually see it, is pretty exciting.
It sure is.
So are you ready?
I am.
Let's go.
All right. Good deal.
Well, here we are, Mayor. Who would have ever thought that we would be filming from what used to be the middle of the lake?
That's right. We are standing here off of the old Main Street Bridge that's in the background right now.
Yeah, and I think, you know, this is a great angle for viewers that are at home because typically what we see is looking south, if you will, off of the 66 bridge into the lake, and you see actually just an inch or two of the top of that railing. And from this perspective, you can see what's usually up under the water, and it's part of the old bridge deck to the old Main Street crossing. It's pretty scary, isn't it?
It is, and you know, we are actually standing on what used to be Main Street, which is in the 17 years that I've been here, this is the first time that I've actually seen the lake at this level. You know what's really scary, Lynda, is we start talking about this drought that we've had, is really when we pan around and look at at all the stumps that are exposed. This is the type of stuff that you normally don't see. And there are many times that I see people out there jet skiing, people water skiing, and it really reminds you how important it is that as you get to know the lake, you know what areas are safe and what areas are not safe. You know? But this drought has been amazing. This is the first time, like I said, in 17 years that we've been at this level.
You know, it's causing us to have to start thinking in terms of conservation. You know, Mayor, the staff attended a meeting with the North Texas Municipal Water District recently, and for those citizens at home who may not know, the North Texas Municipal Water District is our supplier of water, and we learned that November 1st, they're going to go to stage 3, water conservation. And I want to explain to folks why that is. North Texas Municipal Water District gets part of its water from Lake Texoma, and there have been recent articles on the news about zebra mussels. And zebra mussels are mussels that essentially you can't get rid of them. They're seriously invasive species, and there is a lot of effort to keep them out of lakes, because once they get into a lake, they really can be very harmful to the lake and the fish population and the wildlife and so forth that actually grow in a lake. And so as a result of that, it may be some time before they can actually access the water from Lake Texoma, and it's going to reduce that water source, which represents about 29% of their water. And Lake Lavon, which is their primary water source, is down to about 58%. So as a result of that, we're going to have to begin doing conservation, and we'll be talking about this more on our next month's program in November, and we're going to be briefing council in October. But it's important for folks to know that we really have, even though we've not been participating in the active program of North Texas Municipal Water District, our citizens do a great job
we are
every
one of the
year.
Best, really one of the best in the Metroplex at,
yes,
at conserving.
And how we make that determination is we look at the per capita consumption of our residents on a daily basis. And right now we use about 142 gallons a day per resident. When you compare us to other member cities of the North Texas Municipal Water District, of which we're a customer city, not a member city, some of their other member cities are almost double the per capita consumption. Mayor, when you start talking about the fact that we're not going to have water and the availability to water, it really is the responsible thing to do at this point in time to participate. And so, again, it's going to go into effect in November 1st. We're going to spend a lot of time in October talking about this. And what Stage 3 means to us, really the most significant thing is we'll go to having folks water their lawns only once a week. And the timing of this really has worked out well. This would have been very painful and very dramatic. We had to do this in the stretch of triple-digit day heats in the summer when all of us were watering 2 and 3 times a week to protect our yard, protect our foundation. But we're moving into the cooler part of the seasons. The heat's finally broke, hopefully. So just to reiterate, Mayor, this really is the responsible thing to do. It is a question of availability of water. So it's really important that all of us do our part. And again, can't say enough to tune in, begin to listen to what Stage 3 means, and we'll certainly keep you apprised of the restrictions and what that looks like. And we appreciate everybody being responsible, participating, and doing their part.
Well, one of the nice things, first and foremost, our citizens do a tremendous job in conservation. You know, as you mentioned before, one of the lowest per capita cities. But more importantly, as you know, I'm very comfortable with Stage 3, especially with the season we're going into, because most folks turn their sprinkler systems off or cut them down significantly just because we don't have the level of heat. So you're not trying to keep the foundation watered at this point because it's easy to do that just simply because it's cooler.
That's right.
So right now we're probably about 80 degrees and the temperature is only going to go down from here. So I think conservation is very important, and we've got to conserve our national resources. It's absolutely critical.
It sure has been a wonderful day to be out here in the middle of the lake with this wind blowing, a great breeze. Not something that we get to experience very often.
No, and most citizens don't either. So it kind of hopefully brings it home of the current situation that's here and what we have to do as a city to again help conserve our resources.
So where are we going next?
Our next stop is actually going to be off of Main Street at the DART station. So,
all right.
Are you ready?
Let's go. All right.
Well, our next stop, Lynda, brings us to the future home of the DART station.
It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
We're actually here on Martin Drive. This is all brand new, and as you see in the construction in the background, we have what's going to be the platform for the DART light rail.
Yeah, you know, we talk about it, and we talk about it, and we talk about it, and it's so exciting to be out here and actually see vertical construction and be able to visualize where the station is going. But, you know, it really is exciting when you begin to see the station in the relationship to downtown. It is really a wonderful opportunity for us.
And we are standing here on what's going to be the main entrance, essentially, into the DART light rail. And so to our right, we have the parking area that's being expanded, and then we have the future home of our, like the plaza, I guess it's called, and then of course the station in the background. So it's hard to believe in 2012, December 2012 is the target date that it will be open, and it's going to be a very exciting time for the city.
Well, you know, it really is, and you mentioned just a moment ago that we were standing in Martin Drive. It's the construction project that's been under design. We've completed the right-of-way acquisition for that, and we've been waiting on DART and their contractor, Austin Bridge and Road, to complete the section of Martin Drive south of Industrial, and that has been completed. So in the months to come, we're actually going to start construction of widening the section between Industrial and 66. And you commented that this was going to be the main entrance into this area, and it is. And we've prepared for that. We've acquired some extra right-of-way up at 66 because it's going to be an entrance feature. And one of the exciting things that we've had recently is the adoption of Realize Rowlett 2020, our phase one portion of the visioning of our comp plan that we've talked about. And one of the things that we're going to do as we move into phase two is really focus on what we're going to call the Old Town area, which is our downtown area that will include the dark light rail. And when you think about downtown in the context of the light rail, you really can begin to appreciate the need for us to be ready when this train station opens in December of 2012. So in relationship to that entrance, we're going to wait until we get through with our planning, get through with the specific area planning aspect of it, because one of the things that will be important to this is the public space and the branding, how we identify this area. And so we'll incorporate a lot of those features in the entrance area once the study is complete. So,
well, we had a lot of great feedback. You know, we went through phase one of this process, and it really was to identify what the key areas were, and we got a lot of citizen input about what they would like to see in those specific areas.
That's
and really
right.
phase two, as you're talking about, is going to allow us to dig a little bit deeper, kind of scratch below the surface, so to speak, and understand, you know, is that realistic for that particular area? Are there any, you know, specific impediments that would say it won't work in this area? So I think the fact that we'll, you know, be in the process of talking about things like the entrance feature and getting citizen input on that, as well as making sure that it's the best and highest use of that property, is really important.
The last meeting in September at our council meeting, when we adopted Realize Rowlett 2020 in the visioning plan, we really stressed to the public the sense of urgency that we had relative to moving on and not just letting this be a vision that sat on the shelf, but doing something with it. So in the interim, our HOK team is in the process of meeting with several of the property owners to begin to communicate the citizens' vision for this particular area and do some more in-depth market research. Because to your point, it's a great vision. Now we got to see if it's real.
That's right.
We've done some market work that suggests that it is, but now we need to really dive into that. And we're also going to be doing some preparation work, educating staff, council, and our citizens of the function and the purpose of moving to a form-based code, smart codes. And so we'll be doing some programming in the months to come to do that. But what's really important is at the end of October, we're going to have a joint City Council Planning and Zoning meeting, and we're going to talk about our implementation schedule for Phase 2, what that looks like, with hopes that by the end of November, Council is in a position to adopt a scope of service for Phase 2. So I want folks to know that we really did take this process seriously. We're delighted at the involvement. We hope they stay tuned and will come out and be as active in Phase 2 as they were in Phase 1, because we've got some really exciting opportunities.
Well, and the Phase 2 piece, because we've had a lot of people that have had a lot of questions and just have a lot of misinformation out there, and the Phase 2 piece really helps identify and answer a lot of those questions. Specifically, you know, you have people talking about apartments. Are we going to get some? I mean, I've heard numbers of 20,000 apartments. Well, the answer to that, to our citizens watching, is we're absolutely not going to have 20,000 apartments. You know, we have had a lot of work done by HOK and its staff, and Ann Ricker and her team on the economic side of it, and said, what is realistic for these specific areas? Is it realistic to think that we could have some type of apartment living in those specific areas? And at the end of the day, Lynda, we need that type of a product in this market. You know, it's a shame when you get a couple folks out there to talk about, you know, the first thing that comes to mind is some Section 8, low-end, drug-infested, and we have gone out in this region or up in the Metroplex really looked at some marvelous properties, and that are really a mixed use, that have a little bit of retail and of course residential in there, some cases condos, and are absolutely delightful areas that you and I would both want to live in. And so it's really kind of defining that vision.
That's right.
And trying to understand, is it realistic to think that we could have that type of product, and really answer that question of density, because we don't know what the density is. We know we don't want a lot of density, but we know we're going to have some. So it's really answering that type of question.
You know, and to that point, it's important that we have that particular product here, because it's about choice.
That's right.
You know, we hear all the time from really two sectors of folks that have a hard time living in Rowlett. And the first is what I'm going to call young professionals that really aren't to the point that they want a house. They don't want the yard. It's a lifestyle, and they want to be able to live in a place that is low maintenance, but yet offers the amenities that they want and need at that age in their life. Well, we don't have that. So what happens? I have a lot of staff that lives outside of the community because that product doesn't exist. We also are hearing from our empty nesters. Their kids are off to college. They're married. They're now in the grandkid stage. They're ready to travel, and they don't want to be tied down to the big house, the big yard, and all the maintenance, and they don't have a product here.
And my parents did the same thing. You know, they moved to an active senior facility. It's 55 and older. It's a condo type complex. All the maintenance is done. And the first thing my dad, when we moved in, was said, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't have to cut grass anymore. Don't have to worry about painting. Don't have to worry. But they wanted that product because they wanted to have something else to do outside of taking care of the house. So they would travel and do a lot of that stuff.
You know, and to that point, that 55 to 75, probably we'll call that active living. We're also hearing from more of our aged seniors that there really isn't an opportunity for them to do to stay here either. There isn't that product, and so when their house gets too big, their yard gets too complicated, and they need to have a less demanding lifestyle, they're moving out, and they're having to move away from church. They're having to move away from their friends. They're having to move away from their doctor, and all of those are about lifestyle choices. And so in the context of density, we need to address those. So Rowlett can be the choice community for people in all life cycles, but it is a question of how much is the right mix, and that's
exactly right.
And that's what we're going to be focused on in phase 2. So,
and that's what I get excited about phase 2, because it's going to help us really dig a lot deeper into that, get the citizen input we needed, tie that into all of the demographic or economic information that we're going to be provided, and essentially come up with what we call the real plan at that point. And then it'll be very clear. And then to further that, you tie that into your form-based codes, your smart codes that we're talking about, and that will tighten it up to the point where you won't ask yourself the question of, how did that get built in my neighborhood?
That's right.
And so it's going to give us the type of product that we want. And so many of this, we have a lot of property that's available, over 1,000 acres essentially available for development potentially. It's there, and some of these projects potentially are 20 years off.
That's right.
But we've got to plant the seed today, so future councils and the future, of course, of our city is secure.
You know, another exciting thing that happened at the last council meeting in September was the adoption of our budget.
Yes.
It was pretty amazing that it happened with such limited fanfare, if you will. But I think that's a real testament to how involved everybody was in the process all throughout the year.
Well, that's what I was going to say. When we think about our budget, this was not a few meetings that we had to look at a couple numbers and let's cross out a few lines. I mean, our budget process really started last year.
That's right.
At this time. And people would say, why? And I said, because we had things like retirement that we had to talk about. We talked about the cost, of course, the cost of rising health care. That's definitely an issue there. And to be able to address those, and also address the uncertainty in this economic
That's
times.
right.
I mean, we have a decline in property values again, and we knew we had to address that, and so we started early.
That's right.
And so we spent many months out there talking about these things in detail. And that's one of the nice things about the process, is that we got citizen input, we got employee input, and we started early enough where you didn't feel like this was being crammed down your throat necessarily in 3 meetings.
That's right.
So I think that is a real testament to the end result of how many people actually showed up when we passed the budget. This is the 7th straight year now, 7th straight year without a tax increase,
and that's huge.
And that says a lot, because we've had a reduction in the number of employees. We've had a reduction in property values, which means we have a lot less revenue to, of course, work with. It's there, and ultimately at the end of the day, we're able to come up with a balanced budget. We were very fortunate to have a small surplus.
That's right.
And I think we did really well.
I would agree. So, Mayor, where are we going next?
We are going to Rowlett Road, and we have some construction going on over there. And
we always have construction going on in Rowlett.
But this was free money, and I feel like we need to take a trip over there and take a look at that. That is the last phase of Rowlett Road, and pretty excited about that as well. So.
Okay, well, let's go.
Let's go. Well, Lynda, this brings us to our third and final stop today of our tour, and we're here on Rowlett Road next to the police station, where we're in the process of beginning construction on our Rowlett Road Phase 2 final project.
evidenced by the big trucks and the noise. Yes, we are really live on a construction scene, but to give folks perspective, the Rowlett Road Phase 2 actually is from Miller north to Century, just in front of the Rowlett Police Department. It is, as you can see, already under construction. Our contractor is Tricon Construction, located here in Rowlett, so we were proud to have a local contractor, and the project's going to last about a year. So it just recently started, so we appreciate all the folks that are willing to be patient with us and go through this last phase. But when we get done, won't it be nice?
So in keeping with our construction theme that's here, we've got two other projects that we want to talk about today. The first one's going to be Merritt Road.
That's right. Merritt Road we've talked about before. It's our interconnector that will actually connect both Merritt Road exits on PGBT. Saxe is doing a piece that will actually cross the power line easement in Garland, and it will be a 4-lane divided roadway through Rowlett, and will realign where the new interconnector is and going to be on the PGB Turnpike. We've completed all of the right-of-way acquisition. We are in the process of finalizing that piece, and we'll be going out to bid in the very near future with the expectation that we'll start construction in January and be 18 months. And so we're really looking forward to that. We appreciate that this drought has really not been very kind to Merritt Road, so we've had to go out there and make some interim improvements. So I know that the residents in town will be glad to have a new and improved Merritt Road. Well, Todd, why don't we talk about our last construction project opportunity and talk about Toller Road and the speed pushing question.
Well, we recently just had our neighborhood meeting to talk to the neighbors, to really understand what the issues were. And first off, before we go into that, let me tell you, you guys did a marvelous job. Your entire staff, there's a tremendous amount of effort. We had a neighborhood meeting where we invited all of the people in the area that live on Toller Road, and we had many that did not live on Toller Road that would frequently drive on Toller Road, attend that meeting. I would believe it was over 150 people. That is one of the largest turnouts that we have ever had in this city since I've been here on really any issue for that matter. And we had a tremendous turnout. People were, I wasn't sure what to expect in the meeting. You did a fantastic job of educating the citizens and really getting to the bottom of what the issue really was. And at the end of the day, they want speed cushions. That's really what it boils down to. Overwhelmingly, probably what it was about 75–80% said, we feel that this road is, people are driving way too fast on this road, and despite the past efforts with reducing some of the speeds and putting of course, our police department out there, our traffic and safety unit out there, they still feel that it's unsafe. So this issue is not something that's come up. This issue's been going on for probably 20+ years now. People have been talking about speed cushions, and we just want to get this done, and it's going to be coming to a council vote on October 18th, I believe.
That is exactly correct. And so, in summary, we've got an awful lot going on in construction. We have an awful lot going on with Realize Rowlett 2020 Phase 2. So why don't we head back to the studio and you share with them some of the other exciting things we've got going on in the month of October.
That's great. Well, let's go.
All right.
Well, we are back.
Yes, had a great field trip.
Very, very good field trip. And I certainly hope you that are watching today enjoyed it. It's always nice to bring the show on the road, and I think to be able to see stuff firsthand really says a lot. It's one thing to see it in pictures, but it's another thing when you're really there. So let's talk about our lifestyle segment, because we're going into our lifestyle segment, I should say, and we've got a lot going on. So let's talk about a few of the upcoming things. First, our Big Boo Bash, and that's on October 28th, runs from 6 to 9 p.m. It's $5 per person, includes carnival games, cookie decorating, a bounce house, haunted hallway, costume contest, haunted hayride, and a haunted train. This event is an awesome event for children and families, especially when you think about Halloween. There are a lot of kids looking for activities, and this event year after year has been extremely successful.
Yes, and the reason that we do it is a safe alternative. A lot of parents are not comfortable with their children's being out in the neighborhood trick or treating, and this is a great alternative. And every year we have a packed house. Every year the kids have a great time, and when you read all of the events like you just did, it makes you wish you were 10 years old and could go back and participate.
Yeah, it does. And as my children get older, they want to participate less and less in the Halloween activities. So to be able to have an event like this, I just love watching the kids and the parents that get so excited. And like I said, it really is a safe alternative. Now, having said that, let's talk about the community center, because I am very, very excited. This is something that I have been working on and I've been really kind of, I guess, championing for some period of time, for many years, really since I started on council in 2007, and that's the expanded hours at the community center.
Yes.
I know this is a pilot program.
Yes.
But we are expanding the hours at the community center through December of 2011, and the test period will extend at the community center. Will extend the operating hours at the community center from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturdays. So that's big news, because before we were only open until 6, so now it's open until 9 p.m. So it gives the folks in the community, of course, an opportunity to use it on a Saturday night. And then on Sunday, which is even better, we're open from 12 to 6. So Saturdays from 8 to 9 and Sundays from 12 to 6. Very, very exciting. I understand there's going to be some additional leagues that they're starting, like basketball, I've heard, and a lot of different things. And so it gives the folks in the community, those that are, of course, a member of the community center, to come out and use the facility on the weekends.
You bet.
So very exciting. Our National Night Out program, that was held on October 4th, very, very successful. We had over 15 neighborhoods participate. Council and staff went into the community. We actually had our council meeting early that night, so we had an opportunity. I love when people participate. 15 neighborhoods, there's a lot of coordination. It's not just people say, all right, I'll participate. It's a matter of getting those folks together in the neighborhood and then planning. They set up tents, they cook out, and it certainly was a pleasure to, of course, be there.
Todd, it is an important event. National Night Out is a way, and it was started many years ago in an effort to get neighbor knowing neighbor. One of the more successful crime watch activities that happen in a community is neighbors calling when they see something different.
That's right.
Oftentimes our police officers will go out after a crime has occurred, and there's always a neighbor that said, I saw something, it didn't look right, but I didn't call. And the reason for the National Night Out is for the neighbors to come out, as they did on October 4th, and meet their neighbors and have a relationship and really be observant about what goes on in their neighborhood. And if you see something that's out of place, out of character, don't hesitate to call. Let the police come investigate. It might be the one thing that we need to solve a crime or prevent a crime, because the police happened to show up before it happened. And so it's a really wonderful event that happens every year. It's coordinated in our police department through the Community Services Division under the command of Lieutenant Marvin Gibbs. We work with our Community Relations Manager, Denise Paring, and his staff, and it really is just a wonderful way. The great thing about the October 4th meeting is we had 3 neighborhoods that are working to become Crime Watch programs, and it was their first meeting. We had a number of, or not a number, but several of our Crime Watch that the National Night Out was their last meeting, so they've officially met the designation to do that. If you want to have a Crime Watch, you can contact the police department. The Crime Watch, to be designated as a Crime Watch program, you need to have 3 meetings that first year and then a meeting every year to keep up your status, and it's just it's very successful. I just can't stress enough the importance of neighbor knowing neighbor, neighbor being engaged in their neighborhood, because what we find is a lot of neighborhood crime is crime of opportunity. So if we watch out for each other and we remove that opportunity, the crime rate goes down.
And Lynda, the interesting part about that is we always talk about sense of community, and knowing your neighbors. It's just so important.
It sure is.
It starts one house at a time, one street at a time, one neighborhood at a time. And when you work together like that, it's amazing what you can accomplish. I will tell you that one of the things that I get excited about is when I see neighbors that meet for the first time. You don't have to be best of friends. Just get to understand their habits, as you talked about. What time do they leave for work? How many kids do they have? What time do the kids normally, what are the daily activities? Because it's amazing. I told you this story before, but we actually were able to catch crime in progress at my next door neighbor's house. They were on vacation. I remember at the time he had mentioned he was leaving for vacation. We had really never, we of course would know one another, but it's more the friendly neighbor type way, but I knew enough about their activities. One day we came up and only to find out there was some strange car in the driveway. It just looked funny. And over a period of just about 15 minutes, I said, something's not right here. We called the police, and they were able to apprehend, and that was a string of burglaries that the folks had. I want to say like 10 different homes they had broken into. So they were able to, of course, apprehend them and, and put a stop to that. So very, very important. So Crime Watch is great, and we certainly had a really good night out.
You bet.
October is Fire Prevention Month. Now, I'll tell you, this is very, very dry.
Yes, it
is. So I think it's very appropriate that we have fire, of course, Prevention Month. But here's some helpful tips on being safe. First off, smoke detectors. Smoke is responsible for 3 out of 4 deaths. So very important that you install smoke detectors on every level of your home and outside of the sleeping areas. And you've got to test your detectors at least once a month. Some of the folks have electronic detectors that will beep. Some do not, but it's really important that you do test these at least once a month. Our fire extinguishers, it's very important that you have one of those, that they have to remain at their best so that you're on the spot if a fire begins. I had a situation many, many years ago where I had a shed that caught on fire. It was from a landscaper from a neighbor's house, threw it against the fence, and over a period of time, it caught the shed on fire. I show up at the house only to find out that, hey, my shed's on fire. I was able to call the fire department, but it was I was concerned it was getting out of control. I had the fire extinguisher and was able to put it out enough that we had gasoline, a lot of other things in there that, and that fire extinguisher helped. So it's very important that you have one on hand. And so, but fire extinguishers in the home are also very important. They should be, of course, mounted in the kitchen, and the garage, and the workshop. We've had multiple fires where we've had garage fires where people are doing something or cooking in the garage. Something as simple as a fire extinguisher could have saved their home. So I would encourage you to stop by and buy a fire extinguisher. And of course, the next thing is to plan your exit. Our best motto is be prepared. We learned that in our CERT class, our community emergency response, is preparation, preparation, preparation.
Mayor, we talked about this at our staff meeting recently, and one of our team members had a home fire, and he stressed the importance of every month he and his wife would do a fire drill with their children, and their children were small at the time. And when the house caught on fire, they lived in a wood house, and it didn't take long for that house to be fully involved. And preparation saved the day. And he was able to really say, the house is on fire, kids, we've got to get out. And they knew what to do, they knew where to go, and that preparation, that planning saved the day. And he really stressed to all of us the importance of that planning. It's a great idea, but you need to execute that idea. You need to talk to your children, you need to talk to your family members, and practice, because it is something that needs to become instinctive, because in a live situation, you're not sure what you'll do, and you'll go on instinct. And in order to have that instinct, you got to plan, you got to plan, you got to plan, you got to do, you got to drill, you got to do.
And we did that too. For years I lived in a one-story house, and when we moved to a two-story house, it really created a whole other set of circumstances, and so we had, of course, challenges for the kids, and we'd say to them, look, if something happens, this is what you got to do. And we had several fire drills that we would have and say, we've got several entrances, let's use those entrances. How do you get out? And they thought, Dad, you're being stupid. And I said, no, we're not. I said, because it takes that one time.
That's right.
And that type of repetition and that training is just so critically important.
It is.
Now, our clothes dryers, we can't forget about the clothes dryers. Under some circumstances, the dangerous heat can build up in a dryer. The dryer vents are also, people have dryer vents they've never cleaned out before.
That's
it's
right.
very simple to buy something, almost like a fish that you can run through to clean out the dryer vents. I've done that before, and I'm amazed. I've only been in the new house for now about 4 years, and I'm amazed at the amount of lint that you can build up in a dryer vent.
That's right.
So I would really encourage you to do that as well. And never leave home, of course, with the dryer running. That's very, very important.
Yep.
In the kitchen, it's careless cooking is the #1 cause of residential fires. How many times have you been frying chicken or something that has some type of grease or butter or something like that in there, and you walk away from the kitchen? I mean, there are many times I'm on the phone and you just walk away.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head. We all suffer from a very short attention span, and we walk away, something catches our attention, we read an email, we send a text, some program comes on television, the children call, and we're quickly diverted, and you don't even remember you've been in the kitchen. And all of a sudden you smell smoke, the fire detections going off, and you think, what is that? And you think, oh my goodness, it's on fire, and it doesn't take long. And so it really is important that when you're cooking and you have something on the phone that you pay attention and you be involved. And I've done that myself. I've walked out of the kitchen to go do something, and 20 minutes later think, oh my goodness, I've got something on the stove, and I've been lucky. And that's just what it is. I've been lucky. And so it's a rule we can all really need to pay attention to, is if you're cooking, you need to cook, and don't leave it unattended.
And don't, you need to think about your children as well, because it's so important that when you teach them how to cook, that you teach them the proper principles and what to do, what not to do. And kitchen safety is very, very, very important. As my kids get older, my daughter's 14, my son's 11, they say, Dad, I can do it. I can make that grilled cheese. I can do that. And, that's great as long as I'm standing there, of course, watching them, but it's a whole other story if I'm not there. So kitchen safety is really, really important. Coming up, we have our animal adopt-a-thon that's coming up on October 29th. That runs from 10 to 5. It's a great opportunity to adopt a pet. We have some wonderful animals at the animal shelter. It's $25 adoption fees. That's a special. They're normally $75. And we have our microchip clinic from 2 to 4. I just saw on the news that they had this dog. I don't know if you saw it. It was like a little Chihuahua.
Yep.
And I want to say it was thousands of miles from home. And because it had a microchip, they were able to find that dog.
Yep.
So would encourage you to bring your pet in and have the microchipped. It's $20 per pet, includes a lifetime registration. There's no vaccination clinic at this time. So just, of course, make sure that you're aware of that. So we're going to go to a commercial break. And coming up next are dates of community interest.
Sparky the Fire Dog here. Make sure your family has a fire escape plan and practices it twice a year. It's important to make sure that your escape plan has 2 ways out of each room in your home. Protect your family from fire. For more information, visit sparky.org. Make sure your family has a fire escape plan and they practice it twice a year. One important thing to practice is get low and go.
Get low and go?
If you see or smell smoke, it's important to get low and go. You guys ready to practice?
Yeah!
Let's give it a try. Smoke rises, so you want to make sure you get low under the smoke, or you'll find that the air is safer to breathe. Great job, guys! Make sure your home has smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside your sleeping areas, and on every level of your home, even your basement.
And replace the batteries every year.
For games and activities, go to sparky.org.
I'm George Harris, Chief of Rowlett Fire Rescue. October is Fire Prevention Month. We ask you to pay attention to some of the public service announcements that you'll see during the month and throughout the year, and always practice home fire safety and safe practices wherever fire or the threat of fire is concerned.
Hi, I'm Mayor Todd Gottel, and I come to you with some very sad but very happy news. Our city secretary of over 8 years, Susie Quinn, has retired from the city of Rowlett. Susie, we are going to miss you, and on behalf of the entire city council, we wish you the best, and we thank you for all of the service to this great city. You have done an outstanding job for us, and we are going to deeply miss you. God bless you, and good luck in the future.
And welcome back. We sure are glad to have you again. One of the things that I always look forward to is the City Manager's Book Club. It happens every month on the third Thursday of the month. We start in September and it runs through May. The next book club is going to be Thursday, October 20th at 7 o'clock at the Rowlett Library. And our October book is The Kitchen House by Kathleen Grisham. I think that everybody that likes to read fiction will really enjoy this particular book. Please stay tuned for next month's book, and we hope to see you in October at the library.
Now, I got a quick question for you. So if I'm interested in joining the book club, what do I got to do?
All you got to do is read the book. Come in and participate with the discussion. It's really a great group. We have a small, consistent group that comes in time and time again. And then we have every month somebody new that comes in and joins us. And so we just discuss the book. We have questions, and that's just really to spur the conversation. But I find the conversations are always interesting, and I'm always delighted to visit with folks in the community and get their perspective on reading.
Well, it's a great fellowship opportunity as well. So
it sure is.
That's great.
And we do it in conjunction with adult programming at the library, really to encourage adults to continue to read and have programming opportunities at the library. So it's a wonderful program.
So they just need to buy the book and show up and just participate?
They can buy the book, or they can come to the library and check it out. If we feature a book as a part of the City Managers Book Club, we have additional copies that are available for checkout. So they can buy it, or they can check it out at the library.
Very well, sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. Another thing we have going on in October is the Allies Day Golf Tournament, and that's going to be October 27th at the Waterview Golf Course. You know, this is a very important way for the city to meet with developers and show off Rowlett, and we work throughout the year with our economic development team to really promote Rowlett. And we talk every month on this program about how important Rowlett's future is, in the sense that PGBT is going to be opening this year in December. Next year we're going to be opening with DART in December. Well, we've been talking about that for years. We've been talking about that for years with developers. And so every year that we have an opportunity to give them a reason to come to Rowlett, and in this case it's to come to Rowlett and play golf, they have to drive through the community. They have an opportunity to go, wow, I didn't realize it was this far along, or wow, this really changes the landscape of Rowlett. And what we're finding is a lot of developers are watching with great interest as PGBT gets ready to open, as DART is in its final stages. And what we do is we partner our developers, our site selectors, our bankers, all of those folks that would have an active role in bringing business to Rowlett. We partner them with City Council. We partner them with staff. We partner those folks with chamber representatives that really can do a good job featuring what amenities the City of Rowlett has to offer, why we are a good location for their business. And so it's a wonderful opportunity for us to showcase Rowlett. For those that don't like to play golf, we end the day with a dinner, and it provides an opportunity for all of us to come together, mingle. We break bread, we celebrate the afternoon and the fellowship that we've had, and really punctuate again why the City of Rowlett is a wonderful opportunity for developers, particularly at this time in our history. And so we really look forward to those Allies Days. They're well attended, and it really is, it's a great way to showcase the City of Rowlett.
It absolutely is. You know, we have two events that we run for our developers a year, and the golf outing is definitely the highlight of the year. The feedback that we get from the developers is just terrific. They're overly excited. I think last year we even had one that went on an actual tour with our economic development director to look at specific sites after that. So
You bet.
Very, very exciting. We would also like you to join us for the upcoming City Council meetings. We have one on October 4th and October 18th. You can also watch us live on RTN 16 and simply by going to Rowlett.com. Our planning and zoning meetings are October 11th and 25th. And you can also, they're also streamed as well, so you have an opportunity to go back, and you can find those on Rowlett.com. We have our Veterans Day event on November 11th. That's going to be at Veterans Park, as we recognize and honor all of our local veterans. If you're interested in assisting with the planning of this event, please contact. Now, you got to help me with this. Is it Marley? Is it?
It's Marley Borsman. We call her Mo, but if you'll contact Marley at 972-463-3952, she would love to hear from you and would love your assistance in planning this very important community event.
And if you're watching Marley, I apologize. I'm just terrible with names. I should probably see if you watch some of the council meetings. It's just easy. I think in my next life I want to be named Smith. It's just easy. Coming up in November, we have our holiday parade and festival. You know, it is hard to believe it's almost November.
Mayor, it needs to cool off.
I know.
Soon if we're gonna have
it's very
Thanksgiving
difficult. We're talking
and
about 90
Christmas.
degrees. I was in Wisconsin earlier this week, and I get up in the morning, it was like 53, and I walked outside, and like, oh, some guy said, boy, it's cold. I'm like, cold? This is wonderful. I'd love that. I'm sucking up the air out there, you know, so it was terrific. But the holiday parade and festival is coming up on November 19th. Main Street comes alive with children's activities, food, music, photos with Santa. It's a really wonderful, you know, day. We've got the parade, of course. The kids love that. We get thousands of children that turn out, and I just love the kids, and so it really makes for a really nice eating, or a really nice day, I should say. So make sure you grab your seat early on Main Street and watch enough fun. Bring your blankets, bring your chairs, depending on the temperature, of course. Yep. I guess blankets are optional.
Well, we hope you need one, truly.
Let me just tell you this. We went through, I want to say a few years ago, it was so hot. I mean, we were like in like golf shirts, and we had another parade one of the years prior. I had a coat, I had long johns on, and we had the convertible top down. I mean, we froze. It was, and I'm like, you know, you go from one extreme to the next, so you just don't know what you can expect in Texas. So, the parade entry forms can be downloaded at the Rowlett Club.org. That's RowlettExchangeClub.org, or visit rowlett.com/parade for more information. We've got the PGBT grand opening celebration update. You know, end of the year, this is it. All this construction that we've gone through, we have waited for it. They have done an awesome job. Every day I see huge progress being made, and I'm looking at it now going, really? You think they can get it done by then? But they are just working feverishly, and I just know that we're going to have a turnpike open and operating by December. So we're going to start off with a motorcycle rally on President George Bush Turnpike. That should be very interesting, and that's going to run from Garland to Rowlett, and you can be one of the first to experience a ride on the new extension. So now, how do we do that? What do we have to do? Is there like an entry form or something?
Well, there will be. We are waiting right now for NTTA to give us a final date of when the actual celebration will happen. They have indicated to us it will indeed be in December, so we'll either be waiting on Santa to arrive, or we'll be ringing in the new year, but we're going to be doing this in December. So once we get a final date, then we will be out with the actual entry forms, and we'll be talking about that big time on our November show, and so we'll just ask folks to stay tuned.
Well, and there's a little something for everybody. So it's not just our cyclists that
right.
are out there, but you can also visit local businesses and get your toll tag stamped and win prizes. So we're going to have different opportunities to visit some of the local area businesses as part of that grand opening. In addition to that, we're going to wind up on Main Street. And, of course, I love a party on Main Street. We're going to have live music, children's activities, and then, of course, topping it off will be the annual tree lighting, which will be great, and fireworks and much, much more. Fireworks in December should be great.
Well, it will, and we'll celebrate a tree lighting if it is before Christmas.
If it's before Christmas, that's right.
I do want to put that little caveat in there.
If it's not before Christmas, fireworks for New Year's would be great,
you know,
too.
We're going to have fireworks regardless. There's no doubt about that. But it's really an exciting time. I do know the project's on schedule. They are working feverishly in all sections to get that on board. And I do want to recognize the fact that the planning for the celebration of the opening of PGBT really is a community event. We are very blessed, as always, to have a large number of volunteers that are helping us. We're doing this in partnership with the Rowlett Chamber of Commerce, and so it really is a community effort to celebrate something that, as I've said time and time again, we've waited 43 years to see, and so we're going to do it and do it well.
Well, it's very, very exciting. Well, it's hard to believe we're at our closing again.
I know it.
Another show. But I want to thank all of those who tuned in today's program to stay in touch with your government. Thank you, thank you, thank you for watching. And we'd love to hear from you. Please email us or call us with your suggestions or concerns. We take them seriously. I read the emails, and anything we can do to help improve our program is certainly appreciated. Thanks to our communication staff, Drew Rist and Denise Perrin, who assisted in today's broadcast. Lynda, thank you for your help with the script today as well. And we look forward to seeing you again next month. So until next time, thanks for joining us on another edition of Rowlett on the Water, on the Move.